We have to be grateful that you were able to come out of it, because there's a lot of people.
Yeah.
And a big part of that, the beginnings of that road to recovery, was when you started to speak to my mom and my sister, right?
Very much so.
You should bring my mom in.
Yeah.
Hey, Ma.
Yeah.
Come on.
There was so much despair. There was the despair that I felt. I mean, I don't wish that on anybody. I really don't. It was almost like almost like you're drowning, and I just started to reach out. And one of the people that I reached out to was Mama Felician. She's a spiritual mother to me. Actually, I think you reached out to me. You reached out to me. And that conversation changed my life. It really did.
In what way?
There was no judgment. There was a spiritual side to it, that God has your back and that he's not gonna let you fall. And he's not gonna, it will be okay. And then it was how can we get you there? And it was a solution-oriented talk. And Mama, I don't know if you want to share, what you told me pertaining to Mama Felician is an RN, by the way.
Yeah. So I was going to say this about my mom.
Very, very important.
My mom is a prayer warrior. She is as powerful in the spirit as you can get. Every morning, what time are you on the prayer line, girl, every day?
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock in the morning, every day on the prayer line. But she utilizes all the gifts that God gives, including the gift of having a brain, and the gift of having an education, and the gift of having common sense, and the gift of being able to educate yourself.
That's right.
So my mom, at the same time as she's praying for the health and strength of her kids, she's telling them, you need to be taking this olive leaf extract, you need to be taking your multivitamins, you need to be taking your omega-3 fatty acids because of XYZ benefits. Because one of the great gifts that God gives us is the gift of knowledge.
Yes.
And the gift of the scientific developments that have been, and the progress that has been made over millennia.
Yes.
So, that is the beautiful mix of Mama Felician. It is this powerful combination of the spiritual and the practical. But anyway, Ma, why don't you...
You could not have said that better, by the way.
So why don't you, from your perspective, that conversation with Claude, how did that go, and what did you see that she needed?
Well, I don't think she'd reach out to me yet, but I had an intuition, and I called her. I don't usually call often, but when I do call, it's for some reason. And then she started the conversation, telling me what she was going through and stuff like that.
Oh, I immediately broke down,
Yes, and so I was encouraging her, and we were in the middle of a pandemic too. And so I think the night you all drove down, she said to Judd, I want you to go and see your mom.
Yep.
And we were in the backyard, and Nilda was there. And she was just and she said to Judd, could I please, I know it's COVID, I wouldn't hug your mother here. I just want to hold her. I want to touch your mom. I want to hug her. And she hugged me on my legs, just broken down, because the truth is that we don't say and we don't speak, because this is something that stays in the closet. And mental health is like having a headache, having an anxiety or whatever, bipolar, whatever. Nothing is wrong with it, because we could take Tylenol for a pain, but this is a different type of pain, a pain that nobody can feel for you. But I was able to feel it for her because I've been there myself. And so I introduced her and I said, listen, we'll pray, which I believe in prayer and the power of prayer, but more so, as Judd said, wisdom. God give us wisdom. So the herb and the land is for the healing of the nation, it's for people. So medicine sometimes don't always come from a bottle. It comes through the spiritual, but as encouraging one another. So I started to apply those knowledge on her. And I told her about what I had to use when I got 2 breakdowns. Nobody knew. My kids didn't even know.
It's the first time I'd heard about it.
Yeah, never. It was always a secret because this is what we were taught. So I told her, listen, you're not alone in this. You're not the only person. There's nothing to be ashamed or afraid of. And you will get through this. I got through it. And she was very skeptical about medication. This girl would not even take a Tylenol, the person I know.
Yeah.
And now we're talking about choices of medication. And I'm saying to her, don't use this. Make sure they don't put you on this. Make sure. But you will need a little help until God could take you to be stronger. So we have to incorporate the spiritual with wisdom.
Yes. Yeah.
So while you're praying and waiting on God, He said He sent someone to help you. Why did God give man wisdom? For science, to be a scientist, to come about with prescriptions and stuff like that. Too much of anything is good for nothing. Too much of a religious fanatic is good for nothing. It doesn't matter which way you slice it, it's going to come out to the same thing. So we incorporated that, and then sometimes when I'm praying, my spirit say, call her, and I'll call her. We'll talk sometime in the oh my God, late night hours. And she's crying, I'm praying, and I'm asking God, because I know it is a difficult road. And nobody knows it but he who feels it. If you never feel it, you can't tell me how the shoe feels if you didn't put it on your feet. And so I could relate to her. And then I also related like other stories of people and bringing in her experience as a nurse, mine as a nurse, knowing what medication will do, what prayer will do. And look at her now. Look at her now.
I mean, I'm crying because you sharing that with me literally set the path, I think, it was like a light in the tunnel.
Right.
And it was like, you felt this? And she was saying what I was feeling. And I was like, and this is what you did? And you told me exactly what to use, it was hope.
Right. So that's the thing. So I remember when you were coming out of it, the sentiment I got was, what made it that much more difficult for you was the possibility of never coming out of this. And it caused a negative feedback loop where that thought of hopelessness begat more hopelessness.
Yep.
And so finding somebody who had been through what you had gone through and had a roadmap for getting out of it created just a candle flickering light of
and
hope.
I held on to that for dear life.
Yeah, but you also, speaking of the medication, and I'm not sure it makes sense to kind of get into the details of that just because we're not medical practitioners, but what you took helped you. You were still, it almost depressed you further having to take a pill, because it, in some ways, again, it gets back to this stigma where it's like taking a pill for a mental issue is some confirmation that there's something wrong with me, that I am crazy, or I have,
or that I'm weak.
Or that you're weak.
Because the crazy thing is that we've discussed this, and I am guilty of saying, it's better to do it on your own, to kind of get through it, cope on your own. You have to learn how to cope on your own.
Right.
And it was because then you can rely on the medication. Then you're just relying on the medication. And it's like, if your child's arm is broken, you don't go, let me just make sure, like your child's body is gonna heal itself and it'll be fine. And
you go put it in
to the doctor and you cast it up, and it's the same thing. Later on in therapy, I was taught that, but it's a lot of shame around mental illness and medication.
I remember you had the medication in your hand, and
and
it would be a struggle
to use
to
it.
convince her, even if it was just do it at night. Just do it at night. You know, like, and it was like to convince her to do this was like the biggest challenge. And I was you know, and thank God for you, and I thank God for you. I really do, and you know, I thank you because you are also, although we're the same age, you are our spiritual head.
Yes.
And so I thank you not only for her, but you have helped our whole family.
Yes.
God uses you, and I thank God for that.
But I remembered one night she called me and she said, you know, she couldn't sleep. Oh, Mom, I'm sorry. I said, sorry, don't be sorry. I tell her, call me anytime. It's fine. And really, that's true. It doesn't matter what time. My phone is there. Call me anytime. And she said, you think I should take, and I mean, I'm not going to say the name as Jude said, the tiniest dose.
Yeah.
You just need help right now.
Yeah.
I said, you just need this for just now. I said, if you feel you need it, take it. It's not going to cause anything to happen to you. It's going to help you. Look, alongside of that, God's strengthening your spirit to be better. And so I'm fine. So you'll be fine. I said, you'll be fine. I said, you'll be good. And she said, you sure? I said, yes, I'm sure. She said, okay, I'll take it now. This girl's so scared of medication. It doesn't matter. But the one thing to take away from this whole situation, and in the medical field aspect of it, if you come in with a broken leg, there's only one way to fix it. You're gonna either do surgery, cast it up, and wait for the healing process.
That's right.
If you have mental illness, well, we call it mental because it's the mind that is not. So if your fingers, your foot, your stomach could act up, your brain could act up too. So what is the ignorance? To really stereotype somebody because they must be feeling weird right now. They maybe a little something tipped them over. It could be even an imbalance in your body. Your hormones can cause that. Going through menopause puts you into depression and anxiety. There's so many medical things that can cause you. So then we judge people and say, oh, she's crazy or he's crazy. And so for that reason, the person who has been deemed crazy don't want anybody to know that they're crazy.
Yep.
So it's a secret. And it's a secret that's killing you in the closet.
Yeah.
You're dying in the closet. No, there's no oxygen for you. You're suffocating. And the only way you know about it is by speaking about it. And I think really it's time for us to open up, especially as women.
Yes.
Because the scare of, you know, your husband knowing, or your, thank God for Judd. Judd is really, I mean, he's not because he's my son, but he's really amazing when it comes to support.
Yes.
He might not show up for a long time for something that is not important, but when it's for support for anything, he's right there. And for her, he did a real good job, because when I was going through it, I had to fly to Trinidad for my mother to take care of me with my young baby. You see? I lost 20 pounds in 2 weeks. I mean, I don't even know how that ever could happen. I never thought it was even possible to happen. But it happened. You know, and it was after having the baby postpartum.
Yeah.
So you're going to postpartum blue and all these things happen, and then people just looking to say, oh, she's weird, she's strange, she's this, she's that.
Did you hear what happened?
So you are protecting yourself. So let us just not judge nobody. Let us not play God right here on earth. There's too many gods around. You know, we're always ready to pass a judgment, but what about you? He is without sin. Cast the first stone, because you might be doing something more weird than the person who might be having a problem. You know, there's no Tylenol or pill that could fix this problem just like that. It doesn't fix just like that. Support is what we need.
So then, Claude, you did.
I took the medication, and when I took the medication, I felt for the first time like myself. And it was instant relief. And it was, and even then I hated taking it though. And then I used to say, if I took it on this day, I won't take it on that day. So let me skip a day. And I remember you telling me, just do what you have to do, Claude. You know what you have to do. Be kind to yourself. Like, you're gonna be okay. And then I actually started a regimen of medication, and it really did help me. It helped me out tremendously. By July, I was decreasing the amount of times
well, before
using...
July, though. Before July.
Yeah.
Right when this happened and you had this kind of light at the end of the tunnel, you weren't out of the woods. It was still a very long and arduous road. And so we still felt like we had to do more. You had the introduction of a path from my mom and that support and medication. You had just started therapy, and it was like, we got to bring all the resources to bear. And I came up with a harebrained scheme to rent an RV. We packed up the whole family, Papa, Nilda, Claude, me, Jet, Bo,
and Abby.
Of course, Abby.
Our dog.
And we headed to California in an RV. And we proceeded to live there with Adrian and Israel for how long?
For quite a few months.
5 months?
California, and having my family accessible to me, having you constantly with the phone calls, the healing really started to kick into full gear and full effect. And I'm forever grateful for that. We will be discussing more on the healing process that took place in California, and I hope you tune into that. I also want to say thank you guys. If you're stuck around this long to hear this story, I just want to say thank you. Sharing these stories are so important because so many people deal with these issues, and there should not be a stigma around it. And I would challenge you guys to share those stories with your loved ones, with your friends, even with a total stranger if they need that, because we need each other. The wonderful and talented Sarah Bareilles posted something, and I want to share this because it spoke to me and it said what I wish I could have said, or what I felt. So yeah, I'm just gonna read it. This is my medicine, not pictured medicines, friends, family, therapy, exercise, sleep, and meditation. I wanted to write a little bit about the fact that after 20 years of feeling very strongly that it was not the path that I needed to take, I have tried medication for the first time. For the first time in months, I can feel myself again. My joy, my optimism, and my laughter are among some of the precious parts of myself I have rediscovered. They sit at my soul's table, along with my sweet sadness and my tender anxiety, who, by the way, aren't the only ones talking anymore. It is a profound, holy relief. For those who don't understand it and have dealt with it, from the inside of depression and anxiety, sometimes you can't see the possibility of a way out, much less the path itself. For the past year, I have felt desperate and overwhelmed almost all the time. The amount of energy it took to manage my emotions, I use them loosely because that makes me seem like I had a handle on anything. It would exhaust me so much that my whole sense of myself got distorted. I didn't feel like me anymore. Depression is not rational. It does not respond to, I have so much to be grateful for. Or just concentrate on the good things. I have moved through depression and anxiety many times in my life, but this time I needed extra help. I had so many feelings about it. What am I trying to suppress? Am I taking a shortcut instead of doing the work? I'm afraid I won't recognize myself anymore. For me, the truth was that this medicine helped me see myself again. Without the cloak of depression and anxiety, I remember myself. I am lucky to be surrounded by incredible people, and I was blessed with a breaking point. So let it all break down so that it can be reassembled to be stronger than before. So keep going.